Hello and welcome back to Cemetery Scout. Today we are out at the Amasa Esten lot in Burrillville, Rhode Island. Pretty small little cemetery this time around, but I still got plenty to talk about, so let's get going. Don't know if you can tell, but it's very slightly snowing. Kind of hope it picks up so I can get some sweet cemetery in the snow shots. Quick one to start us off. Here's William B. Esten. I don't know nothing about him or what his life was like, but I just really like his inscription. There's a brighter realm beyond. Next up is the namesake of the cemetery, Mr. Amasa Esten. Now, I guess the Estens are a pretty big feature in Burrillville's history, especially this part, which is even called the Esten neighborhood sometimes because of how much of the area was developed by the Esten family. In particular, this guy's father, John Esten, has a homestead in this area that's actually been entered into the National Register of Historic Places for how significant it is as just a representative of what colonial life was like in this part of Burrillville. Amasa in particular actually took that house after his father passed it on to him and added on a blacksmith shop and a wheelwright shop and a carpentry shop, as well as farmlands for raising cattle and pigs and growing crops like corn. I also read that he built one of the first schoolhouses in Burrillville somewhere along the same road that the cemetery is on, but unfortunately I couldn't find it to show you. And the last person I want to tell you about in this little cemetery is Rhoda A. Esten. Now, I'm pretty excited for this one because most of the time when I'm doing these videos, I can just find little tidbits about these people, but I actually found a pretty storied history about Mrs. Esten here. Now, most of what I found about Rhoda was in old government, like Department of Education documents from the end of the 19th century. Apparently, Rhoda was the supervising teacher of schools for special discipline and instruction, or sometimes just the supervisor of discipline. From what I read, I guess that basically just means that she was in charge of disciplining the kids who were sent to the office, so to speak. Now, after her husband, Amasa Esten Jr.'s death, he was a carriage maker, by the way, she went to college and graduated in her late 40s, eventually launching herself into a career in Providence, Rhode Island school system. I found a little summary she actually wrote about the 1898 through 99 school year and discipline for the city of Providence. Not much to point out about that report, although I do like that her theory at the end of the report for why disciplinary issues tend to rise quite a bit during 6th grade as opposed to the earlier grades. According to her, it's because 6th grade is when children in the Providence school system switch from small school buildings to large school buildings, and also switch from having mostly female principals to male principals. I also read that she led a special group of teachers called the Esten Round Table. The mission statement of this round table is the study of children who are mentally, morally, or physically defective. She also had the names of Providence disciplinary schools changed because she thought calling them disciplinary schools might harm the future reputations of the children who were sent there. Instead, she renamed them the Schools for Individual Work and the Schools for Backward Children. And I also found a very nice note she wrote praising the Providence school system library and recommending everyone take advantage of it. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about her death and how respected it seemed that she was in the Providence school system at the time. So much so that they planted a tree for her in 1901 in Roger Williams Park. I tried my best to see if I could find exactly what tree this was and if it's still standing so I could go show you it and maybe take a few shots. But unfortunately, I couldn't figure it out. Now, Mrs. Esten, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to be humble for a moment. I'm going to embarrass you by reading the absolutely glowing review that the school system left for you after your death. To me, it sounds like you were a really positive influence on the children of Providence at the time. The superintendent said that she always found something good in every offender and that she was ready to sympathize with the offender, even though condemning the offense. In addition to this, in the Providence school system's report on the end of the school year that she unfortunately passed away during, they wrote this very nice blurb sort of commemorating her life and effect on the children in the Rhode Island area. She was an enthusiastic and faithful follower of all that is good and beautiful and true. She despised wrong and espoused the right with all the vigor and earnestness of a noble nature. Her manner of reaching the wayward and of teaching them to be self-respecting, intelligent, and obedient is a grand example for the emulation of our teachers. The sturdy oak dedicated to her memory is a fitting emblem of her life, work, and influence. Thank you for watching. Remember people like Rhoda, and I'll see you next time.